each and everybody for this wonderful evening. The next about 100 minutes is going to be very exciting. I'm very keenly looking forward to again hearing Dr. Radha Pillai, which is something which I think I don't know how many times I've heard him speaking, but every time I find that there is something new. Radha, just to give you a background about our Lost Key group, though of course in parts we had said, and also for the benefit of those who have kind of joined us maybe for the first time or for the first few times. The Lost Key group is actually now 8 years old, and I don't know. I think we should. Time has come for us to give it a birthday, like what I did for my reading corner. But so it was just formed by people casually meeting each other. And the pioneers of this group are Jagdish, Litesh, and Sridhar. And subsequently, I also somehow got in. And these were the three people who were instrumental in getting all of us together. And this was started very many years ago, probably without a purpose, or I don't know whether there was a purpose, but it was just for sharing good thoughts, for sharing very spiritual kind of things. And if you see in our WhatsApp group also, there is nothing that comes of other than on focusing on spirituality. So that's the way we started, and we used to meet in Jagdish's office, which is at Mahim, in a nice small office it was. And somehow we used to meet there. And it, I don't know, he calls it the office, but I think it was like a mini temple. It had a Buddha statue. We could meditate over there. And Jagdish used to say, just close your eyes, we'll meditate. And he had some mechanism where he could shift some few panels from here to there and completely bring out a new ambience. And so that was his power of meditation, or the power of moving objects. But it had a very great effect, and we used to really enjoy ourselves. In fact, uh, everybody else, please mute. Request you to please mute. Yeah. So what we had done was we had a 2 day wonderful session where each one of us spoke, and I don't know what we did for 2 days, but it was so enthralling. And subsequently, we started meeting once in 3 weeks. You know, those are days of physical meeting, but we used to meet once in 3 weeks, and that's how it started. We have done a couple of outstation trips as well. We went to Alibag. Some of us went to Wada, the Ishkon property there, and so like this we have been kind of meeting. The lockdown turned out to be an opportunity, though all of us say that it was a threat, but we converted the Lost Key group converted it into an opportunity, and we started meeting every Saturday. And the result of this is that at least 50, 60 people, we all gather together. And so we invite good speakers. We invite people who have got more knowledge or different knowledge with us. So we are a group of largely corporate members. And so we just meet and we get a speaker, we discuss. And as Jagdish keeps saying, that have no religion as such. We have got Hindus, Muslims, Christians, and what have you in the group. And no particular faith. So we get people from Chinmay Mission, we get from Sai Baba, and just about any kind of a following. So we learn different kind of techniques which help us probably to lead our lives better. And the sole purpose is just spreading goodness, or whatever, good thoughts. So that's how we are here today. The other job I had was to introduce Dr. Radha Pillai. I don't have any paper from which I can speak, so I'll speak from my heart. I know Radha now for I think now 20-25 years, and he's the only one person in this group who has actually attended my wedding also. So at least it is 20 years old, 25 years old. So he's been with me, or whatever I can say, we've been together. And I remember the first when he had done this Chanakya course. He had, I mean, not Chanakya course. He had gone and studied the Ardhashastra in the Chinmay Mission in Cochin. And I was quite wonderstruck that how a person just like us, and Radha, as to me, and as you come to know him, to all of us, is just a person just like all of us. And it's just very fulfilling for us to see that any one of us can also take a few steps in the right direction and become like what he is. I was just writing a small article for the Bombay Chartered Accountants. It was a small blog. I was writing, and I know what difficulty is there in writing, a small two-page blog. And so many people helped out in trying to improve it, putting a picture and this and that. And Dr. Radha just goes around casually and says that he has written 16, 17 books. I sometimes get scared to say the number of books because he says, no, 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 you're wrong. It's not 16, it is 17. So whenever I use his analogy and of trying to tell how many books he wrote, I said he has written between 15 and 20 books, so that he can't. I don't give him an opportunity to correct me. So I hope that number is right. I hope it has not gone beyond two digit, beyond two being the first digit. Okay. So so he's written so many books on Chanakya, and that he's made that the forte, and it just teaches us one more lesson that you among all the things that are there in this world, you catch something, you become a master of it, and then there is no second word on it. Whatever Radha says. So he's all over the place in terms of print media, the television, the I've seen all the places, and couple of times even he has allowed me to quote a few things, and that has also got featured. So that's my claim to fame of being in the newspaper. But otherwise, I've seen him, all over, beautifully spread the world of Chanakya, and he's made so many more people aware of the teachings and the way he has brought about it. So without really taking too much more time, because I can conduct a 1.5 hour session only on Radha Pillai of what I've learned or what I have benefited from him. But that's not the purpose today. Otherwise, next time we'll only have 4 of us in the Lost Tree group. So the purpose is, so here's Radha Pillai for all of us. A very simple, straightforward human being, a great human being. That's the way I would like to introduce him. That's the way I would like him to be remembered. And, comes to us as a very, very simple kind of a orator, and you'll see his oratory skills as well. He's one thing I must mention. He's also the deputy director of Chanakya Institute of the Bombay University, where yeah, that's a good place of pride for him. And I have had opportunity one day to, he invited me to speak there as well. And it was a very fulfilling experience to see students. One of his students used to come all the way from Dubai. Geeta, her name is, I remember, and she used to come all the way from Dubai for attending the classes on those 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. So without any further ado, I think it's time for me to stop talking and allow the talking to be done by Radha. Thank you very much, Radha. The floor is all yours. The format of the presentation is you speak for the time that you wish to, and you'll hopefully allow us to have some time for question and answers. We could stop somewhere between 6:30, 6:45, 6:45, maybe a better time. But we'll certainly not go beyond 7 because we felt that the interest level is that much. So let's try to close somewhere between 6:30, 6:45. But it's up to you, and it's up to us to have the benefit of your presence. Thank you very much.
A warm good evening. Namaskar. Am I audible, Satish Bhaiya? Yes, okay. Thank you, Satish Bhaiya, Sridhar, Jagdish, Litesh for forming this wonderful group, Lost Key. The name itself is so beautiful, Swami Chinmayanand used to put it so nicely. Never put the key of your happiness in somebody else's pocket. So, we always have this funny thing that somebody else will make us happy, and, relations will make us happy, or a better job will make us happy. It will, no doubt. But I think finally it is on our side where to open the lock. It has to be within. I love the group, and the last time I met Sridhar sir, Jagdish, Litesh, and everybody else, and it was such a wonderful moment. Because what I really liked is that I think everybody comes from a very good professional background, but also evolved souls who are looking for a better way of spiritual living. And when I was interacting, I said, wow, what a group. In fact, 2 of my students are also here. I've invited and saying that, listen, at the peak of your career, you only become spiritual. At the peak of your career, you only become spiritual, and that's the Indian way. I used to always wonder, what should I speak? So that's easy for me because, everything I have to only connect with Chanakya. So whenever people ask me what is the topic over there, Chanakya plus The plus is yours to decide. So when I speak to college students, they say, okay, how to clear exam? Chalo, Chanakya and how to clear exam. Okay, Chanakya and how to make money. Chalo, Chanakya. But I can only speak on Chanakya. The good part is that I can adapt very easily. I don't know whether you call me a chameleon or a water-like person who can adapt to any particular situation. But I'm so glad today I don't have to adapt. Today I have to be natural. But this is one topic that is very, very close to my heart. And when I say it is not just close to my heart, it is natural to me. Because speaking about spirituality, let me tell you that, it's like, that is what I am. That is what I like to be, and that is what made me successful. Let me put it this way also. So without spirituality, Radhakrishnan Pillai is zero. This is the way I like to put it. So friends, let me go back to my college days. I've been part of Chinmaya Mission since my childhood, but my knowledge has been from all spiritual masters across the globe, different religions, communities, cultures. I never limited my spiritual knowledge to any particular place or event or even, generation. I read a lot. If you come to my house, I got 7,000 books collected from my foreign travels to all the readings. And I've realized one thing, that, the more you go deeper inside, the more you understand what spirituality is. I have been reading not only about Vedantic culture or the Vedic culture, not only Indian way of looking at spirituality. I read a lot of Zen. I read a lot of Tao. I read a lot of Sufi, and suddenly I started same, but different approaches. Last time when I was in the Middle East, I got a lot of chance to meet some people who are from the Persian community, and they had their own way of looking at philosophy. I remember when I was in Kailash Mansarovar, I've been fortunate to go there and take a lot of people many times. I've met some monks from the Tibetan culture. I've seen monasteries. And what really satisfies me is that, you cannot claim that spirituality is only our birthright. We are blessed as Indians. This is a place where maximum people have make it a priority as moksha or nirvana, but it is there across the world in their own beautiful little form. So I think I'm so glad the Lost Tree Group is giving me an opportunity to speak about something which is close to my heart. Before I start, let me tell about a small instance that happened, which left a very big impact in my life. When I was in my college days, or I would say the end of school days and beginning of college days, I was the only person in my local community, because that time there was no WhatsApp groups or virtual groups. It is like, आजू बाजू के जो दोस्त होते हैं जिसके आप क्रिकेट खेलते हो, so they are your world. The only two worlds you know is that local friends and school friends. We never had professional friends during that age group. So they used to always call me Swami, and I used to get very irritated. Why Swami, Swami? They knew this guy goes to Chinmaya Mission, attends some Balviar class and something. And they used to tell me, you definitely bada hoke Baba banega. So they expected. I was only, odd man out. And saying that you definitely Baba banega. So better get used to this habit called as Swami. Okay. So I used to get very angry. Like, nahi, nahi, nahi. And somewhere you felt lonely about it, saying that, but I used to enjoy going to Chinmaya Mission. But over here, saying that, Swami, kya bolta hai aaj ka, kaun sa sikh ke aaya? So, somewhere that was a confusion. I'm not saying that they were right or wrong, but that identity, right from my younger days, was that, this guy is some spiritual guy. But today I'm so proud that the confusion that I had, whether a spiritual person can be worldly successful, very important question. A spiritual person can be worldly successful has been solved. In fact, I always say that today I'm worldly successful because I'm spiritually smart. I like to bring in this dimension to the group, that spiritual people are generally perceived as, bechare, always talking goody. And, the only thing they can do is meditate. And, let me tell you, friends, I'm going to be talking about a person who was spiritual, very deep within, Chanakya. Let me also tell you, he was super smart. You could not fool him. Okay. So today, of course, I'll be speaking on Chanakya, but my theme would be spiritually smart. Okay. Because it's very important to know that spirituality is not a post-retirement activity. It is the very base of every activity. Okay. I like to repeat this. Spirituality is not, when I say post-retirement, I'm not talking about the age also. A lot of people do spirituality after they come home, meditate in the house. So that's also retired from the work day, So sham ko aake bhajan karna, meditation karna, no. Spirituality is the base. And let me tell you, if you truly understand spirituality, you will become super smart. And that's been my experience. Okay. So friends, let me now come back to my favorite topic, that is Chanakya. As Satish Bhaiya rightly pointed out, I have tried to understand one master. Okay. I'm not saying that I'm a master of that subject, but I've tried to understand one master, that is Chanakya. And everything has been revolving around it. And I found my niche. But the good part is that in that one thing, I have found everything. Many times you keep searching, searching, searching. And search is important, but somewhere you have to settle, even in your spiritual life. I've traveled across the globe, met a lot of spiritual masters, but I've never forgot my base, and that is Chinnavishnu. And I actually found that everywhere it's the same. So you have to be very clear what's your mother before you see motherhood in everyone. You should know who is your mother before you find motherhood in everyone. Motherhood is common, so spirituality is common, but you should be very clear who's your guru, which is your path. Otherwise, you'll keep confusing. It may start like a window shopping in the initial phases, but if you keep window shopping, if you don't, accept something, then you'll be totally confused. I like to just tell friends, I have been inspired by 3 C's and 3 S in my life. They are my inspirations. CCC and SSS. Okay, who are the 3 C's? They are the male gender. And the 3 S, they are the female gender. So why these are inspiration? Because they are the people with whom I have actually seen, and they have shaped up my life. The first CCC is Swami Chinmayananji. Okay, so the Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji. Second is Chanakya. So all of you know the Chanakya part of it. And the third is my own father. His name is C.K.K. Pillai. Okay, he's an engineer by profession, retired. And C.K.K. Pillai is Kuchu Kunju Pillai. That's his formal name. So 3 C's have shown me what is spirituality. On the other 3 side, the females. Okay, my mother Sushila, the lady under whom I did my PhD, Dr. Shubhada Joshi at the Mumbai University. And third is my own wife, Surekha. So 3 C's, 3 S. And let me tell you, all these 6 people are legends in their own fields. And they have given me different dimensions of spirituality. I'm going to speak on Chanakya, but let me speak about why these 6 people have given me different dimensions of spirituality. Let me start with my own father first. It is said in Sanskrit, there's a Subhashit which says, your mother takes you to your father and the father takes you to your guru. That's how our tradition is. So, your mother is the only child to understand the mother, that touch, the feel. So it's come out from the womb, 9 months. The only thing they can understand is the touch of a mother. And only the mother knows who is the father. So mother takes the thoda sa bada hone ka ye tere papa hai. And once the child grows and the basic education, Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, then you need to go to Acharya Devo Bhava. So I think the father's biggest responsibility is not to take you to just an Acharya in a school, but a Sadguru who will take you to the path of spirituality. And this has exactly happened in my life. My father has been with Chinmaya Mission since childhood. Sorry, when I was a child, he has been active in Chinmaya Mission. He's got his own, spiritual journey. And I have seen him meditating. Even today, at 85 years, he meditates for 10 hours a day. 10 hours, 85, fit and fine. No problem, and sits in Padmasana, absolutely straight, 10 hours a day. And that's the kind of a lucky person I am. The Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, they say, there's a beautiful question by Arjuna. It was asked that, suppose I do all this sadhana and then I don't realize in this particular birth. So neither I'm worldly successful nor spiritually successful. Kya dhobi ka kutta na ghar ka na ghat ka, what do you happen? And Krishna promises, don't worry. Okay, if you're incomplete spiritual journey, I will guarantee that the next journey, you will be born in a rich person's family. Why? Because you don't have to worry about, roti, kapda, makan, profession. You'll be a rich person and you'll be surprised. Richer people understand spirituality differently. And that's why we see all our great founders, be it Krishna or Mahavira or Buddha, they were all kings. So no survival problem. तो हमारे middle class में तो 20 साल तो पढ़ाई लिखाई और एक घर बनाने में निकल जाता है. What spirituality? You may have bhakti. There's a difference in having bhakti, but focusing on 100% spirituality. So coming back, it is said that you'll be born in a spiritual family. And he says one step further. There are very rare people who actually are born in the house of yogis. So first, if you discontinue, or rather you're not able to attain moksha in this life, you will be born in a rich person's life. So you can continue focusing on your spirituality. But the rare people are born in the house of yogis. And I've seen this, friends. I've been so fortunate. I don't know what is my past life, but I definitely know one thing, that I've been born in a yogi's family. And what a role model. What a role model. I can go on and forget Chanakya if I start speaking on the first C itself. So my father is a role model. Swami Chinmayananji, I think many of you, including Satish Bhaiya, has been part of Chinmaya Mission. It's an own organization. So I don't want to talk about it, but been very lucky to spend a lot of time with him personally. He shaped my life. The organization shaped my life. Not only the individual, but also the institution called Chinmaya Mission. And of course, Chanakya, I'll speak about him. The three people have brought in a different understanding of spirituality to me. On the female side, my mother, absolutely brilliant. And for all the South Indians, you will know that women are actually more powerful than men. So in our culture, it is not like about women empowerment. Women are already empowered. So she was the lady who actually taught me what is do and die spirit. Okay, better do and die. So she's like a true karma yogi in her own way. So mother has been my role model. Of course, Dr. Shubhada Joshi Madam, a philosophy teacher, head of Department of Philosophy, under whom I did my PhD, and been again fortunate that I started the Chanakya International Institute of Leadership Studies. Now I'm a director, thanks to the Vice Chancellor and all. It is under her guidance. So imagine I became an academician all over the world. I don't know how, because of a philosophy teacher. So mother, teacher, and of course wife. I think, I just wanted to put it this when I was just joking. That Thursday is one of the days when I totally try to focus on my spiritual sadhana. Because, I realized in the last 20 years, I've been in the Chanakya path for the last 20 years. Well, I suddenly wonder, itna buddha ho gaya main. We started, but the journey, and then I realized that the kind of webinars that I'm doing, even before the webinars, even the so-called face-to-face program, it has been like really pulling me out. Nothing wrong. I'm in a mission mode, so it doesn't matter. I remember when I studied the Arthashastra under Dr. Gangadharan Nair, I asked him Guru Dakshina. He said no Guru Dakshina. Of course, he was very financially well off, so that's not a problem. But no, Guru Dakshina dena padega. He told, okay, then spread the message of Chanakya. So for the last 20 years, I've been doing nothing but, trying to learn and spread Chanakya. And thanks you for so many opportunities that Satish Bhai has created, in so many professional platforms, in his own companies, wherever he has gone. Thank you so much for the journey. So 20 years, not a single day's break. But I realized one thing, if this is the way, I will break down. Lockdown gave everybody a chance to calm down. Calm down, break down, lock down. But you have to be down. So I think it's a very important time when suddenly the travel stopped, good. Otherwise I've been, on an average 15 to 20 days in a month I'm traveling. And this has been a schedule for the last 10 years, ever since my book Corporate Chanakya came in. So no traveling, but don't think I'm sitting there. My average is 3 to 5 webinars per day. On the teachers, it was 7 webinars. Okay, so it's not like resting period. But I realized one thing, my father always calls me and warns me. Ye sab loka sangraha theek hai. Very important, okay? Very important point. In spirituality, the word loka sangraha comes in the Bhagavad Gita. Even after you realize, you have to come back and work in the world. Very important. So don't think spirituality is a runaway. You may go, meditate, but come back. So even my father tells me that even if loka sangraha, how much time are you spending on your personal sadhana and meditation? And he's a Gandhian by thought. He said, you may be Gandhian, I'm Chanakya guy, okay? I'm practical guy. I want to change the world and blah, blah, blah. He said, all that is fine. But how much time are you meditating? Imagine you have a role model father, right at 85, physically fit, meditating for 10 hours a day. And one day he told me, my laksha is to do 18 hours a day. And he told me, I've already got 15 hours a day. I said, my goodness. So I thought, okay, lockdown is a good period. So I've started meditating for 3 hours every day. And that's been consistently in the last 6 months. That's made a very big difference. If you're in spirituality, as Swami Chinmayananji puts it, meditation is a final stage. But we have to go through the basics, but be calm and quiet. But then I took this particular decision that, at least once in a day, as Gandhiji used to do, can you actually focus on one single activity? I can't do it on Monday because business karna hai. Saturday, Sunday, see all my friends and universities, they keep calling me. So it's a Thursday, Guru Var, Guru Ka Var. I told my office also, I'm not going to be a runaway. What I'm saying, maximum possible. So, at least I extend from 3 to 4 hours. But Thursday, nobody knows. Only the spiritual group knows. So what I do is that maximum focus as much as possible. I don't go to office. But I've been fortunate that Thursday, this time I was able to focus on 10 hours of meditation. Yes. And that doesn't mean I was out of touch. So, in between, you looked at the WhatsApp, communicate, look at some mails. But I have a logbook. Again, somewhere I have this, I can share this, right? All this is a spiritual group. So I can tell you, some of you must have read this book called as Outliers. Okay. And there is a beautiful thing that if you want to master something, you need to do it for 10,000 hours. This is a formula. Yes, Satish Bhaiya, please.
Radha ji, sab apne log hai, so don't worry about anything.
Yes, thank you. So I made a list and I said from the March, from the lockdown, can I focus on 10,000 hours of meditation? Okay. And believe me, I've completed 1,500 hours, tabulated. Okay. So why am I telling you this, friends, is that, we may do everything, but finally we have to go inside. And my father and all the three S's, okay, including my wife, Surekha, okay, they all tell me that, you have to go within. And fortunately, I'm so happy that my wife, also from the spiritual background, Chinmaya Mission, children, all part of it. So, they all keep me on the path of spirituality. I'm fortunate. 3C here and 3C here. So let me tell you, friends, is that, let us not discuss spirituality only. Let us practice spirituality. And one of the very important steps of practicing spirituality is do spend time inside yourself. As they say, if you can't go out, lockdown, isn't it? At least go in. This has been the best time of my life. Sitting, I'm doing my prachar work also. Spreading Chanakya, but I'm also doing my Atma Chintan work. So friends, thank you so much. I'll be sharing so many things which probably I never share. And since it's our group, maybe we can inspire each other. I will come to my topic, Chanakya. Oh, what a person. But then today, I'll be looking at Chanakya as a spiritual guru. I've been promoting him as a teacher. I've been promoting him as an author of Arthashastra and Chanakya Niti. I've been also looking upon him as an economist and so many other things, the Chanakya. As a leadership guru, management guru, used a lot of things in the corporate world, now in the academic world, political world. I work with so many government projects. But the one important thing I'll share with you towards the end also, that I interestingly got a very big government project. The governor of Maharashtra, the team called me up and said, I have to train all the Maharashtra officers on the basics of Kautilya's Arthashastra and public administration. Okay, so that is something that's really got finalized. So coming back, for me, all this Chanakya as statesman, public administrator, economist, law creator, that's something I do. And that's exactly where I've been able to write 17 books and 3 more books in the lockdown. So I'm working on the 21st book already. So the numbers will go in. But today I'm so happy that I'm going to give you the dimension of a spiritual master. And I'm going to cover 3 points. And then we can have a lot of open discussions. What are the 3 points? Number 1, Anvikshiki. Remember, these are Sanskrit words, but very easy to understand. Anvikshiki, Rajarishi, and Rajaguru. 3 different dimensions of Chanakya. The first one is Anvikshiki, Rajarishi, and Rajaguru. So let me discuss in each of these points in detail. What is the role of a teacher? What is the role of a teacher? The role of a teacher is always, in India I'm talking about specifically, I'm not talking about the Western model of professorship. I'm talking about Indian model or Indian Gurukul system, Indian knowledge system is you have 2 roles. Okay, you have 2 roles. Any education system, any teacher. One is called Paravidya and the second is Aparavidya. So you're supposed to teach 2 things. Paravidya is worldly knowledge and Aparavidya is spiritual knowledge. Now, interestingly, you can have a choice what is the Paravidya that you will teach. For example, if you are a mathematician, that's your Paravidya. Okay? So you teach maths. You are a botanist, or you are a Vaidya, Ayurveda, or you are a person who understands Dhanurvedya. Okay? So whatever way. So you can choose your subject, but you don't have a choice about Aparavidya. Whatever you choose to teach, along with that you have to teach spirituality, Aparavidya. So the basis of education is spirituality plus everything else. Very interesting. So what we do today, everything is taught, but spirituality is like a moral science class. And udhar bhi aisa zabardasti, some moral values, be a good citizen, be a nice guy, go and vote, clean up your house, Swachh Bharat, respect your parents. Okay. In the moral class, we have some Upanishadic quotes, saying that Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava. No. If you want to master any subject, you need to have the basis of spirituality. In fact, I'll tell you, I met a very great professor from US, and he told me, I like Indian education system. Why? Because the full circle. That means it's zero. No. He said, I have studied Indian education system and I'm trying to apply it in US. Imagine. And it teaches Fortune 500 companies, okay? All of your company, successful professionals, I want you to understand this model, okay? Because we Indians somewhere have a lot of conflict about spirituality ourselves, okay? But this guy, a professor in US, Fortune 500 companies he trains in spirituality. And he tells something very interesting. I studied the Indian model and realized it starts at one point and ends at one point. What is that? He says that Indian education system teaches the child spirituality in the basic education itself. Then he's also taught professional skills, you go. But after you retire, you come back to do the same thing. So bachpan mein meditation sikha diya. When you're working, when you're married, you're a grahastha, you also work, okay? But with the basis of spirituality. But once you retire, okay? And we retire at a very early age, it's not like today's retirement. You come back to do what you're taught. So life is fully spiritual. He went to the extent of telling spirituality is not after birth, it is even before birth in India. So the Garbha Samskar, think about your whole life is spiritual. From the beginning, even before the beginning. And then, even you're a professional, okay, you're continuing that and you have to retire and come back. So my dear friends, this is very important. So Chanakya was a person who was a teacher of what subject? Political science, Arthashastra, Rajaniti. He was teaching Rajavidya. Okay. But what is the base? The first word, Anvikshiki. Not many people have heard about it. At least I'm trying to popularize this. But you'd be surprised when I heard it for the first time 20 years ago. I said, what is this Anvikshiki? It is called as Prathama Vidya, the first knowledge that is required to be taught. And the whole thing is all reference, right? It is not Radhakrishnan Pillai ko lagta hai. Or a spiritual guru is telling. This is documented, and the Arthashastra written by Chanakya is available in the Mysore University, the same Tada Patrika, the palm leaves. You can go if somebody is in Mysore or next time you go, it's there. Anvikshiki Sthapana is the first chapter. The modern education system teaches us AAA, reading, writing, and arithmetic. So that's why I say you become a literate. So reading R, writing is W, I know, but it's pronounced writing, and arithmetic R. But here it is said you have to think about Anvikshiki being taught. So what is Anvikshiki? There are many things. Anvikshiki means the right method of thinking. You are teaching your child how to think. Think about what? This world and that world. We all have dharma sankat, confusions, but the child never has dharma sankat. Whatever you feed the child, okay? I remember a lady, she had actually put the child in a very nice school, very spiritual organization. Ki jo schools hote hain na, like Chinmaya Mission has got, Satya Sai has got, Shri Shri Ravi Shankar ji ke schools hai. And the moment 10th standard happened, this lady comes to me and she said, Radha, tell me a good college where he'll become smart. I said, what do you mean? तो बोलते नहीं मेरा बेटा जो है ना बहुत गुडी गुडी है. Why? What happened? Because spiritual organization ने बचपन से एनो problems सोचे तमें खबर है. So he is very spiritual, but I want him to be worldly smart. So tell me a school where they only teach you smartness, not spirituality. But you see this? This confusion is there because we have this misunderstanding that spirituality means not being smart. And here Chanakya says very clearly, Anvikshiki is the ability to think. Anvekshan. We don't teach children how to think. We teach them what to think. तुम्हें बड़ा होके ये बनना है, तुम्हें बड़ा होके ये करना है. And even today as an educationist, I've been part of the national education policy. We are trying to change it. Let's see. But the biggest problem is parents and grandparents. because parents decide the future of their children based on your past. Think about it. So let's say you are, let's say 50 years old, just as a benchmark. Your child may be around 20, 25 years old. He or she is already confused. So actually, you should be thinking of 25 years ahead of the child's future. But what are you doing? You're taking the child 25 years back, according to you. So actually, there's a gap of 75 years. So you are 25 years, actually talking about the present, should be talking about 25 years and 25 years. Imagine. The spirituality, the concept has been so much confused till our generation. It is a very basis. And by the way, it is very logical, okay? And you know what Chanakya says? Why teach Anvikshiki? Because it solves every problem of the child. You know what is the biggest problem in life? Not knowing how to think. We only know how to get confused, but no clarity of thought. Clairvoyance is not there. And therefore, Swami Tejamanji puts it very nicely. You can live probably a month without eating food. Okay? You can maybe live for a couple of minutes without breathing. But you can live a whole life without thinking. So think about the kind of a system we create. Everybody is just chal raha hai. Okay? हम चलते गए, कारवा बनती गई, जिंदगी बनती गई. Tell me one person who decided what to do in life and achieved it. Your company decided what you will do. They will decide what will be your career. Your education system decided what you will become. My dear friends, Chanakya was very clear that you have to make the children think. Anvekshan, inquiry. CBI, Kendriya Anvekshan Bureau. Remember, it is investigation. CBI, Kendriya Anvekshan Bureau, is actually Anvikshiki. You teach your children how to inquire outside and inside. We don't inquire about our thoughts. We say, gande thoughts are a meditation. Mein. Acha, congratulations. At least you are aware of your thoughts during meditation. Otherwise, people don't even know. In fact, what we do, हम लोग करते हैं चिंता. करना चाहिए चिंतन. What we should be doing is actually think, but what we do is worry. Worry about everything else. My dear friends, look at this knowledge. It's a double-edged sword. It can cut all the problems outside and it can cut all the problems inside. Anvikshiki. Inside out, isn't it? But Anvikshiki helps you with a dual sword. And that is why Chanakya is called as a practical philosopher. See, Anvikshiki word also means philosophy. And, philosophy is the base of every subject. So if you want to be a scientist, first study philosophy. First, you should know how to think. If you want to be a chartered accountant, you should know how to think. You should want to be a marketing guy, you should know how to think. If you want to be an artist, you should know how to think. So thinking with a spiritual base is Anvikshiki. Philosophy is the very base for a person's education system. Now here is a joke. Okay? And this is something that will open out your minds to a different world. We have forgotten it, but the Western world has adapted it. We have forgotten it. The Western world has adapted in the education system. Okay, we are getting Westernized, but I don't know whether you know the Westernized is actually getting Indianized. Oh, and a circle, we go there, they come here. I'm not only talking about yoga. I'm talking about the education system, and I'll give you a specific example. You can go and Google it, and if possible, go and visit that place. In the Western world, the basis or what they call the cradle of philosophy is the Greek culture. Okay, so if you look at all the medical professions and all the great philosophers that came in, Hippocrates and Aristotle, Plato, this is the base of the Western world. Now, you'd be surprised, Chanakya lived in the 4th century BC. Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, they were all around the same period. And when Alexander came here, they say you should learn philosophy from India. So this is like two IT guys of the same field but working in 2 different geographical regions. So Chanakya was teaching philosophy here, and all these guys, same era, were teaching philosophy there. And I had the opportunity to represent India when I went to Athens, which is the capital of Greece, where I represented India in the World Congress of Philosophy. World Congress of Philosophy, how Swami Vivekananda went to the Parliament of Religions. So the philosophy as an academic subject is accepted globally. And remember, in India also, the highest degree is called PhD, Doctorate in Philosophy. Highest knowledge is also philosophy. Basic knowledge is also philosophy. But you forgotten. So Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai. Okay, so this doctorate comes from doctorate in philosophy. And imagine even the medical profession, if you get a doctorate, not the medical MBBS or MD, if you do a research, there also you get a doctorate. And it also, basis is philosophy. Please understand this, that it is said, in our academic circle, PhD ka full form kya hai? Not doctorate in philosophy, pagal hua dimag. PhD. So you keep doing research. Finally, you find that principle. Isn't it true? That one thing that hits you out. And they say, this person has discovered something very deep. And therefore, you are granted a degree called PhD. Finally, what are you doing? You have become a philosopher. So think about it. If you go inside also, you become a philosopher. If you go outside also, you become a philosopher. And that word of philosophy is anvikshiki. So deep, isn't it? In fact, when I started reading, I found anvikshiki was a very common word in our Shastras. So don't think that it's something very rare, only Chanakya spoke. It existed as a very common word. In fact, there in Bhagavatam, it is there in Mahabharata. Mahabharata popularized it so much, we don't even know about it. And in fact, it is also said that one of the masters of this particular knowledge of how to think correctly, philosophically and practically, was Draupadi. Draupadi in Mahabharata was a princess, remember that? And she was a master of how to think strategically. So there is a story about her when it comes that, she has to marry these 5 Pandavas and she doesn't like it. You can't just throw me away. Of course, I like Arjuna, but you can't just throw me away and say, no, 5 log baat lena. So there is a philosophical discussion between her and Krishna. And Krishna, there are many versions of it, Mahabharata, Ramayana has many versions, but I like this version. And she goes to Krishna to console, I'm not a throwaway, I'm a princess, And Krishna laughs and says, yes, that's exactly why you should get married. Why? 5 intelligent husbands individually, okay, but collectively stupid. 5 intelligent husbands, each of them is a master of their field, like Bhima or Yudhishthira, Dharmaraj, yeah. But 5 individual smart people individually, but collectively they can't take a decision. That's why you are required. Of course, there is a destiny and all those things. And Krishna calls her Anvikshiki, strategic thinker. Draupadi was a smart lady, and she's the lady who actually centered around Mahabharata, right? It's not just the Vastraharan, okay? A lot of people say, Draupadi ke wajah se yuddha hua. You should read a book if you're interested in Sanskrit literature called as Kirat Arjuniam. It's a very beautiful Sanskrit literature, Kirat Arjuniam. Draupadi is advising Yudhishthira what to do as a king. Very practical. Very practical. How you should have spies, how you should gather information, even if you're an exile, how you plan for the war. I said, wow. So, we only know the B.R. Chopra Mahabharata. By the way, that's only one part of Mahabharata. The Pandava, Kaurava, that's not Mahabharata. That's only one part of Mahabharata. Mahabharata is 1 lakh shlokas. And it is said by Vyasa himself, if there is anything in the world, it is there in Mahabharata. And if it is not in Mahabharata, it doesn't exist. So it is like Rajavidya. By the way, Chanakya quotes Mahabharata in Arthashastra also. And Anvikshiki is there in Mahabharata. And Draupadi was called Mahabharata. Sorry, has been called as Anvikshiki. One of the names given. And I loved it so much that I named my daughter also as Anvikshiki. See, why am I telling you is that, friends, when you look at spirituality, we have to be very broad. Of course, it's about the basic activities that you do, the rituals that you do, the meditation that you do. But it's also thinking. And Swami Tejomananji is, was the head of Chinmaya Mission. Now he's made Swami Sarupananji the head of Chinmaya Mission. He's a great Sanskrit composer. He composes a lot of spiritual poems, a lot of compositions. And one of his beautiful compositions is called Mana Shodhana. Remember these words? Mana Shodhana. I'm trying to find out my mind. And a lot of saints have done this, trying to understand the mind, guiding the mind. And every literature, in Marathi it is said, Ramdas, Samartha Ramdas, Jite Jite Mana Jaye Maje Tite Rupa Paye Tujhe. So wherever my mind goes. In Karnataka, there is a beautiful book called Mankutimma Kagga. It's like trying to talk to your mind. So in the same way, Swami Tejomananji has written a beautiful composition addressing his mind. Okay, Manashodhana. What is this mind? Let me try and find out. And in that, he uses the word Anvikshiki. You understand the mind through Anvikshiki. And he says Anvikshiki is Brahma Vidya. So finally, the process of thinking is Anvikshiki, and the result at the end of is also Anvikshiki, Atma Jnana. See, I'm not talking about only one word of Chanakya. I'm not even talking about Chanakya. He says this has to be the basis of education system, Prathama Vidya. And to quote Sanskrit, he says, Pradipah sarva vidyanam upayah sarva karmanam ashraya sarva dharmanam shashwat anvikshiki mata. My mata as a teacher who is writing the Arthashastra says, anvikshiki has to be taught to every single child. Why? Logic, isn't it? Kyun? Pradipah sarva vidyanam. You know what is Pradipah? Lamp. Sarva vidyanam. If you don't know how to think, whichever subject you take, you will not understand it. Studying chemistry or poetry or literature or sports. Chahiye ki nahi chahiye? So how to think? That guidance is given by Anvikshi. Pradipah sarva vidya. Upayah sarva karmanam. Goal setting. All corporate guys have goal setting na. Upayah sarva. हर काम करने से पहले प्लानिंग कर लो उपाय to achieve the result. Anvikshiki. We do a lot of goal setting, right? Pradipah sarva vidya. Upaya sarva karmanam. Ashraya sarva dharmanam. Dharma is not just religion, it's also duty. Before you do anything, ashraya. You know, one of the biggest problems everybody talks about, especially leadership position. I know a lot of corporate leaders are here. You know what he says? The biggest problem a leader has got is dharma sankat. Isn't it true? What to do and what not to do is the question. Chanakya says, you will get clarity of what to do and what not to do using Anvikshiki. Ashraya, it is shelter for all dharma sankat. Ashraya sarva dharmanam. Shashwat Anvikshiki mata. That is why I tell you, study Anvikshiki, study philosophy, understand spirituality, and then you will get clarity. And what the end result? It is said very clearly. Your thoughts, your words, and actions will be flawless. Manasa, vacha, karmana. You will have no doubt. Hamara problem kya hai? We Indians, you know, I don't know. I'm a very proud Indian from a spiritual standpoint. But as a, you know, व्यवहारिक स्तर पे बोल रहा, I think हम लोग सोचते कुछ है, बोलते कुछ है, करते कुछ और है. See how much conflict we have? Because we don't have clear thinking. We think something, say something, do something. Trust factor. Isn't it? So why? Because somewhere we don't know how to think clearly. And very important, think spiritually. First word, I told you I'm going to talk about three things of Chanakya. The first thing, very clearly, understand Anvikshiki, study Anvikshiki, practice Anvikshiki. You will be successful internally and externally. Formula given. I will take a class for you separately some other time. What is the process? It is Sankhya, Yoga, Lokayata, all those things. I don't want to get into technicality. I just want to introduce you saying that when you study Chanakya, why is he a master strategist? Why do you respect him so much? The reason is that clarity of day one based on spirituality and philosophy. Hum log post-retirement activity. Or maybe, you know, I don't want to talk about it. No. This clarity of saying that, yes, this is my duty comes from right thinking, from the right analysis. You have been given a buddhi. God has given you. We are all educated, lucky guy. But are you buddhiman? Having a buddhi is not enough. Okay? You have to be buddhiman. Thank you for the reminder. You know the Athens story? Very interesting. So when I went to Athens, it so happened that, you know, we were at the World Congress of Philosophy. And there, I asked one of these professors, since all of us were representing the philosophy department of Mumbai University, we're all going there. So I asked them, you know, where is your philosophy department? Because typically in Mumbai University, it's one building and then one floor. These are the classrooms of philosophy department, like chemistry department, mathematics department. So different one. So this professor, I remember his name is Dimantras. Yeah, so he's in this one. Huge building, you know. So maybe some 7-8 floors and very deep and all those things. Maybe 500-600 rooms. But I was asking for philosophy department. ये पूरे building में कहाँ पे कौन सा section में? So he looked at me and said, "This is philosophy department." I didn't understand. Then I realized one thing. It is not one small department. It is the whole faculty under which medicine comes, under which management comes, under which science comes. For example, how we have arts, science, and commerce, you know, typically in India. But for them, if you study philosophy, only then you will study medicine. Oh, so philosophy, everybody has to study first. So the whole thing is taught here, and everybody is like, everything else is branch of philosophy. That's why when you study medicine, you have to study the philosophy of medicine first. If you study science, you have to study the philosophy. So coming back, thanks for the nice reminder. It is very important to know that in Athens, I realized philosophy, or what we call as anvikshiki, is the very basis. So can we, in some way or the other, make spirituality and philosophy the very basis of our education system? Forget the education system, at least in our companies, or at least in our families, at least in our individual lives. First thing, Anvikshiki. Second, which I told you, is about Raj Rishi. What kind of a students do you want to create? Okay, so I told you what is the Vidya, the formula is Anvikshiki, but what kind of a students wanted to create? Remember, Chanakya's subject was Rajavidya, Rajaniti, leadership, not ordinary, like, political science. His student was Chandragupta Maurya and everybody else. So he's like training, he's a Rajaguru, teaching Rajavidya. Yes. So what is this particular product that you have to bring out? After this 12, 13, 14 years of education, क्या बाहर आता है? Chartered accountant बाहर आया, engineer बाहर आया, scientist बाहर आया, artist बाहर आया, whatever. So at the end of this, we have this new national education policy. So basic education, primary, secondary, higher, and then you have university. So what is the output? Output is Raja Rishi. Look at it. Raja is understood, leader. But look at the other word, Rishi. This is where we have to understand that even after becoming a Raja, he's saying, don't forget spirituality. You have to be a Rishi, you have to be a thinker. And we understand one thing, in India, we don't respect leaders. We respect spiritual leaders. And look at your whole name. And let me tell you, this whole concept of democracy is new to our country. Okay, I don't know, it's a perfect system. We have survived thousands of years on monarchies. 1947, we became a free country with a new administrative system and a new election system. Everything has got its advantages and disadvantages, no doubt about it. But remember one thing, 1947, thanks to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, we got united as a Union of India, Republic of India, with 550 princely states, each of them led by a leader, an individual decision maker, along with, of course, the Mantri Parishad. It was united. So our model is what? Attack the top, create a good leader, and that leader will create a happy society. And we had many. You look at the Mysore Maharaja. If you go to Kerala, Travancore, Raja Ranjit Singh. Okay, so all these people were all leaders. But we always believe the leader has to be a spiritual leader, not running a spiritual organization. Okay, the whole country. That's why when you say Rama Rajya, it is not Rama as a person. It's a country or Ayodhya or whatever you may call it with a basis of spirituality. I love to listen to a lot of different spiritual gurus on the same subject. Okay. In that, I remember one of the beautiful discourses, Swami Subodhananji of Chinmaya Mission. He recently left his body. Swami Subodhananji used to tell, if you compare Rama and Ravana, okay, they're poles apart. They're poles apart. Rama came from a very small place called Ayodhya. Okay, it was not that prosperous. Okay, it was prosperous. Lanka is Sone ki Lanka, and a Pushpaka Viman also. So material wise, which is more progressive, not Ayodhya, is actually Lanka. But do we respect only the scientific development of Lanka? No, we respect Ram more. Why? Because he was a person who was a rishi. So Ram Rajya is also a country with spiritual governance. And it is said about Ram Rajya, it was actually created by Bharat. So Ram Rajya is actually Bharat Rajya, because the moment Dasharatha left physical body, Ram is gone. 14 years, Vanvas. So who makes Ram Rajya? The foundation is Bharata. So understand one thing, just by having material prosperity, you don't become a great leader. You have to be a Raja, and you also have to be a Rishi. Scientific development from outside, Ravana is a very good case study. Pushpaka Viman to Sone ki Lanka. And let me tell you, if you really study Ravana, he had some fantastic systems and processes in place. Imagine, he actually appointed woman as the security head. The in charge of the whole Lanka for security systems was Lankini. Even Hanumanji went as a fly or a mosquito, she caught him. Remember that? So systems and processes are fantastic. Technology, fantastic. Scientific development, fantastic. But problem, Raja hai, lekin Rishi nahi hai. Some of you may or may not know this, that actually Ravana could not listen to anyone. And that was the problem. But there is somebody, Chanakya says about this strategy. Every person listen to one person. So if you have to solve that person's problem, go to that person. एक ऐसा व्यक्ति होता है हर व्यक्ति के जीवन में जिसका आप पूरा मान लेते हो. You don't debate, discuss, you accept it. And everybody should have that one person. Unfortunately, that one person to whom Ravana would always listen was not there during the whole war. You know who was he? His father. We never hear about Ravana's father. We only know about his mother, wife, sons, brothers. He was a rishi. Try to find out. Ravana's father was a rishi. Unfortunately, not around. So, kiska nahi sunta tha? My dear friend, Chanakya wanted all the children to come out as leaders, but also as Raja Rishis. So this is a training that is given, that you have to be a spiritual leader. In our country also, post-independence, look at all the great leaders that we respect. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. We call him as a Raja Rishi, spiritual leader, isn't it true? It's spiritual base. You go, look at, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, another president, okay, on whose birthday we celebrate the Teachers' Day. He was also a teacher of philosophy. Yes, that's the kind of a respect that we have. So friends, why I'm telling you is that Chanakya wanted everybody to be trained in spirituality, and also after getting the position of power, continue to be spiritual. Raja plus Rishi. The third point of Chanakya, Rajaguru. What is the role of a Rajaguru? To guide the Raja, not only for external prosperity, but also for internal development. See, the Rajaguru is a very important concept. Today we call CEO coaches, business coaches, So everybody, we have this mentoring system, very fashionable. But we had even the mentors and guides to the Rajas after becoming the Raja. See, there are two types of coaches. One is before you become the expert. But after becoming the number one, also you require a coach. In our culture, we have said, teacher matlab kya ho jo alumni meet mein milte hain na. We go to a school with our friends WhatsApp group and give some donation and take some selfies. I remember we had this program with our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. He had a very beautiful question to ask. And I tell you, I just love that person for that statement he made. He said, you teachers, you should addressing all teachers and principals and all that. So you teachers, tell me one thing. How many children would you have taught in your career of 20-25 years? 500, 1,000? We ask something deep. How many of them actually, after going away from the school and settling in their life, called you during the weddings? Aapka wedding card. And I'm asking all of you, how many actually invited your teacher of school? हम तो हमारे life में चले गए ना. And he said, what does that mean? The Prime Minister telling the teacher, that means you have not made that impact on the children's lives. Very deep, huh? We all appreciate teachers, but somewhere teachers की भी गलती है, हमारी भी गलती है. Imagine your biggest achievement in your life. There are a lot of marriage egos that we have. कि card पे किसका नाम छपा नहीं छपा. Because a lot of relatives don't go saying that हमारा नाम क्या. So the idea of telling is that in India, wedding is a very big thing. But you don't remember your guru during your wedding. Forget the name. How many of you actually invite your first class teacher? But our system was the teacher, okay, was a teacher for life, not only during Gurukula days. That's why Vashishta Maharaj could come and demand and say that, listen, Rama has to come back. It is not after graduation, tata, bye-bye. So, after Chandragupta Maurya became the Raja, Chanakya's work is more, not another batch. And we Rajas, all corporate giants, हम तो हमारे ही डिसीजन लेते हैं. हाँ, थोड़ा बहुत हम इधर उधर से एडवाइस लेते हैं. कंसल्टेंट बोलते हैं उन्हें. Every consultant has a consultant. Please understand, a leader, a Raja Rishi, also needs to have a Raja Guru. And that's the role Chanakya played. Chanakya played a very important role to keep the leader in the right path. Today, nobody controls the politician, not even the Supreme Court. Some manmani kar rahe. And today we don't have selection of a leader. We have election of a leader. Very dangerous system. How can you elect a leader? Yeah? Tell me one thing. How can you elect a leader? Leaders are selected. from the best. So I'm not against election, but what I'm saying is that then the politicians smartly know manipulation. So they're not strategic thinkers, they're manipulative thinkers. Chanakya understood strategic thinkers, and those people who work for the society have to be made leaders. And after becoming a leader, I don't know if you know, there is a process, there is a specific ritual in which there is a crowning ceremony. Okay, and if you study it, it's all there in the Vedas. You can go and search in Google also. Like Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was crowned as Chhatrapati. Okay, there's a process. And when you sit on the throne, they take a small rod and put it on the head. You know why? Because listen, you may be the most powerful, but there is something above you. This rod represents dharma, and it is called dharma danda. So whenever that ego comes in your head and saying, I am the most powerful, tongue, 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 tongue. And the Rajguru gives that, saying that, listen, kabhi bhi karoge na main hu. So Rajguru is telling the Raja, behave properly, don't forget your role, your duty, your dharma. And if you do it, I know how to remove you. So another two aspects, and I will stop and then we can have Q&A. Okay, very important thing. Chanakya realized one thing, that once you're on a throne, it's very difficult to give up the throne. At least in most of the formal organizations, we have a retirement plan, isn't it? But we, after retirement, also want to continue as consultants. Wow, wow, wow. And then we are nice people, we are very nice people. We say, we have to give our knowledge and experience back to those others. Do the others want knowledge? Did you even ask that question to yourself? My father is very clear. The moment you leave it, you should not go back till they want it. If you're invited, if you're healthy, I'm not against it, okay? But remember one thing, subtly ask yourself, is it that I don't know any other activity, that's why I continue? See, understand your experience is worth it. You should continue, but that should not be your choice. Genius is to know when to stop. Walk out before you're thrown out. Mahendra Singh Dhoni, my role model, but doesn't know when to stop. Abhi bhi IPL khelta hai. Can you believe Chennai Super King at the last level? You see it? He should have stopped gracefully and exited and said, with the World Cup winning captain, kya ho raha hai? All stalwart. Spirituality is not an activity. It is an attitude of knowing when to stop. And when the king is made to sit on the throne, he said, one day you have to retire. Huh? Retirement pehle bol diya. Yes. And if he doesn't retire, I'll push you out. Chanakya did that. That's why the time comes when everybody has to go, because the next person is ready. Nobody is permanent, but the institution should be. So the first thing I want to tell you is that Chanakya is very clear that you have to know when to stop, because the next leader is ready, you have to exit. The second thing, which is a story, a very interesting story about Rajguru, and then I will stop. Listen to this story, and it's very, very deep. So what happened? Chanakya created Chandragupta Maurya, okay, from scratch. He was a village boy, trained him up in Rajaniti, Anvikshiki, everything, made him a Raja Rishi, put him on the throne, and he kept guiding him. But he went back to the Gurukul, okay, and started teaching the next batches. So दोनों काम करना है, नया बैच को भी सिखाना है और पुराने बैच के आउटपुट को भी गाइड करना है. So dual role for a teacher. In fact, Sikshak and Sashak, the one is a ruler, the one is a teacher. Both cannot rest. आराम करना उनके भाग्य में नहीं लिखा है. So both of them have to continue. No restless, no rest at all. Anyway, so there was an arrangement between Chanakya and Chandragupta Maurya that whenever, there is a problem, Chandragupta can come. But irrespective of a problem, they will meet once in a month. Review bolte hai na? Board meetings, every quarterly, one board meeting, one agenda. If not agenda, at least you meet. Chai, coffee, committee, come meet and have tea. So some informal discussion. So the arrangement was that Chanakya will not interfere into details. Okay, he will not interfere into details. But what will happen? He will go, okay, to the Gurukul once in a month. But you know what? When you're sitting on the throne, you think you are the most powerful. And some people started telling that, everybody is talking in the Praja that you actually are being taken for granted. It is Chanakya who is using you as a puppet. You are a puppet in his hands. And he got very, very angry. Oh, this is the thing that everybody is saying that, okay, I am not running the kingdom. It is Chanakya who is running the kingdom. He stops going. अभी तो नहीं जाऊंगा. Chanakya understood it. 1 month, 2 month, third month he comes to the Rajdhani. And suddenly Chandragupta, अरे गुरुजी आप यहाँ आए. तुम वहां नहीं आए तो सोचा तुम्हारा खबर लेने इधर आ जाता हूँ. तो sorry. He just looked at Chandragupta straight in the eyes and says, remember, dharma danda. You think you're capable enough of running the kingdom without an advisor? Okay. I knew this day will come. The day I made you the king. मुझे पता था एक दिन आएगा कि तुम्हें लगता है कि I am number one, I don't require an advice. I just want to tell you one thing. The day I put you on the throne, I already have made many backup plans for you. तुम्हें निकालना 2 मिनट का काम है. But I only have one question to ask you. Do you have a better backup plan for me, a better advisor than me? If you have found it, I'm the most happiest. So remember, friends, even if you are number one, the Raja, you still require a Raj Guru who keep you on the track, not only of governance, but also spirituality. So, winding up, Chanakya as a spiritual guru, Anvikshiki, Raja Rishi, and Raja Guru. Thank you so much. Namaskar. Bhaiya, off to you.
Sridhar, you'll take some questions, no? Sridhar? I just need to acknowledge the presence of Jagan Babu Ganji, who is there in this, is part of us. Radha, you had spoken at the BJP, I mean, at the Telugu Association when they had.
Yeah, he's spoken to me.
Yeah.
He was there. He was invited once.
Yes. So he just was very much, he wanted to come. So
Thank you, sir. Namaste.
And Jagan Bhai has done lot of work. I know through Subhash, he has done a lot of work for the migrant labor during this pandemic, and he's really helped so many people, known and unknown people. That is the most important thing. So I just thought it's necessary for me to acknowledge his presence here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Satish, let's take the questions first.
Yes, Sridhar. Come on.
You want me to read or somebody will moderate for me?
Sridhar will moderate.
Okay. So one of the questions is, we as auditors, risk heads can play the role of Dharma Danda for the CEO. But auditors don't go into decision making or have an expertise as the CEO. How can they play this role?
So actually the role is not Dharma Danda. The role is only auditing. See, Dharma Danda can take decisions. Unfortunately, auditors can report, but they can't take the decisions. So let me put it the other way around. This is a conflict that happens in the police department also. We work with Shivanandan sir very closely. He says, I know exactly what is a crime. I know who is the murderer, who is the killer. I will investigate, but finally, I can't take the decision because somewhere there is a higher power which decides. Isn't it true? The politicians and things like that. So why am I telling you this point is that we know, okay, every auditor knows what's going on right and wrong, and we report it also. But the danda has to be given by somebody. So in this particular case, specifically the corporate culture, the decision has to be taken by the board. Isn't it true? So when a board has to decide that the CEO has to be chucked out, unfortunately what happens is that we know everything. And in a country like India, we know corruption is everywhere. But who has to take a decision? Dharma ki baat karte hain, lekin danda kaun chalayega? So what happens is that auditors know everything in and out. You are like doctors, you know. वो patient को देख के पता चलता है कि बीमारी क्या है. Everything else is only a process, isn't it true? So you will make a nice report and everything. I remember this, you know, Satish Bhai, you had organized one of my programs in Kolkata, the Internal Auditors Association. And somebody told me there, and it shook me a lot. He said, you know, there's a Deloitte report, and I'm talking about almost 7-8 years ago. 76% or maybe 93%, I don't remember, but more than definitely 75% of the frauds that are done in companies are done by senior management. True or no? I mean, I'm not an auditor. You know it, right? And it's an official report. But the problem is that everybody knows, but who is going to take that call? The problem is that everybody knows, but somebody has to hit the danda. And the board, if it doesn't do. So, you know, there is a board. And that's why, from a statutory requirement, we have the independent director. True? The independent directors actually should know to use the dharma danda. I know of so many people and fortunately I'm also the independent director of a few companies, and they're very afraid. Remember, people are not only afraid of the auditors, which is a good thing, because hum jate hain to but we know everything. It's like, a judge who says, case aate pata chal jata hai ki khuni kaun hai. So only we are waiting for proof. But I'll tell you, the Dharma Danda is actually the board, or specifically the independent director who says, I don't care. You may be the chairman of a company, that's okay, but get out. But it's not easy, it's not very easy because there are so many complexities, and we auditors, 99% are also employees of the company. So are you thinking like an employee or a person with a Dharma Danda? These are all internal conflicts. It's like, you are on the wrong side, but you want to be on that side, not resign also and tell that it's wrong. So somewhere you're a part of it. So I think it's a very conflicting situation. Thank you.
I think next question, Radha, is they're asking what meditation do you follow? If it's not a very personal question.
No. So it's not a person. See, I'll tell you, meditation also, there are various formats, but finally it reaches to what we call as, nirvana, atma sakshkatkara, whatever. So let me tell you, for probably all of you are meditators and following certain parts. I have studied theoretically, at least 200 different formats of meditation. The Zen, okay. Then we have, the Tao meditation of the West. And a lot of, mindfulness, that's the Western concept. And of course, I practice yoga every day. So there are at least theoretically 200 types of meditation. But I have personally practiced 10 different types of meditation. I can tell you, like, I've been a Vipassana meditator to understand that format. And Sudarshan Kriya, okay. Now, and of course, the Vedantic form of meditation, all those things. But let me tell you, at the end of it, I started realizing, bahut ho gaya window shopping, information gathering, but I need to find what I'm good at. And I realized one thing, there are 3 steps to meditation, irrespective of the format. One is the basic level, that is called the asana level. So you have to sit down something. So I sit down. I can easily sit down for 7-8 hours without moving. I think that is something called as asana siddhi. So whichever way format, you have to sit down. Okay. So that is the first asana. The second is breath control. So we call it pranayama, or what many people in the Western world also, they're saying that, count your breath and all those things. So first type in the meditation, whichever format you follow, is to keep your body steady, asana sthirata, then breath control, then watching your thoughts and going beyond the mind. Okay. So this is the general 4 steps that you can practice in most of the cultures and formats. Specifically for me, what is the kind of a meditation that I follow is Vedantic meditation. What is Vedantic meditation? I'm not telling you it is. There are Panchakoshas. Okay. So the 5 layers that you have. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha. So in my type of meditation, the Annamaya is the physical body, Pranamaya I told you. So it's very important to understand my format is actually all 4 steps of everything, but I follow the Vedantic, where slowly you go to the mind level, try to make the mind calm. It's not that easy, but over a period of time, go to the thoughtless state. Okay, so my format is Vedantic meditation. The Panchakosha level kind of a format I follow.
The next question is, how would you rate the other Chanakya contemporaries? Sun Tzu of China, author of Art of War.
Yeah. So there are many comparisons of Chanakya. The one is Sun Tzu and the Art of War. Another one is Machiavelli, who wrote the book The Prince. So there are comparisons of this also. I would not rate it, but what I would say is that Chanakya is one step beyond them. I'll tell you the reason why. So you study the Art of War, and you should. Okay, it's a very interesting book. It's written by a military general, and it's only talking about war and the war tactics. So like you have to kill the enemies, whatever, Samadhana, Danda, Veda, whatever you use. The Prince, Machiavelli, it talks about the bringing of a prince, the upbringing, the training of a prince. But again, it's a power game. While Arthashastra includes all this, it includes the Art of War. It's already there. Samadhana, Danda, Veda, Dushman ka, Dushman dos. It also training of a prince. But what I like about Chanakya is that he talks about what is the kind of a war you fight and what is the kind of a prince you bring in. So the prince has to be a Raja Rishi, spiritual. And the art of war also, for us, it's not just war. It is not Yuddha, it is Dharma Yuddha. This is a differentiator. See, war is there everywhere, isn't it? But in India, we always call it as a dharma sankat and a dharma yuddha. So I think what differentiates Chanakya from every other culture, and which is a basic Indian culture, is that we weigh everything from the standpoint of dharma or spirituality. That's my answer to it.
The next couple of questions are all on education. I'm going to combine both these questions so that you can address both of them. One of that is saying that while there been no inclusion of Sanskrit, has not been made compulsory in our education, and some other comments which come up is in modern education system, which is British gift that is brought in to raise the white-collared babus. Really, it does not really constrain the role of the teacher in school. As it is said that the foundation years that shape a child's personality, what can a teacher assume a role as fulfilling as what Chanakya envisaged?
So, two questions, as you said.
I'm just combining everything. So that,
Sure.
topic is
So, one is inclusion of Sanskrit. I don't know whether you're aware of this. It's a very interesting debate that happened in the parliament. What should be our national language? So there was Hindi and Tamil and all those people fought and all those. But Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, okay, not many people know as an economist, he was the one to propose that Sanskrit should be a national language. Are you aware of this? Yes, when making the Indian constitution, he was the one who stood for Sanskrit as a national language. Of course, that did not happen is a different story. But let me tell you, coming back, why shouldn't Sanskrit be a compulsory subject? There is a reason for that. The reason is that, see, in India, the education system is decided at two levels, the state and the national level. Okay, so mostly all the states take a decision, and the state that we have today, post the British, is based on linguistic classification. So, Tamil Nadu is Tamil, okay, Karnataka is Kannada. So there is no logic to it, but the people who speak Kannada are from Karnataka. Not true. Maharashtra, Marathi Manus. So what happens is somewhere the regional languages became a priority. That doesn't mean the Sanskrit language did die off. So I think most of the states give you as an optional subject. Okay, so I think if you want to study Sanskrit, any school can offer it. But the problem is about demand and supply. I know a lot of people say Sanskrit padh ke kitna mark milega, and unfortunately usse career kya. So so this is a major thing which is social problem, not an education problem. Today I learned Sanskrit after my graduation. I am an MA in Sanskrit. So nobody told me that you have to study Sanskrit. My school, there was an option, I did not take it. So I would suggest that one is the education system. With the national education policy coming up, lot of emphasis and freedom has been given to the states, the schools to decide what subject to teach. But remember, if there is no demand, then what do you do? So all the parents are like, we want to learn French. Why? Because my son will go to France and my daughter will go to France. And who are you to tell me what language to learn? So somewhere is a demand supply. But the other thing also you have to understand is that today what is happening is that education system is basically of two types. One that happens formally in colleges, schools and universities, and the other one is what happens in the family. So I think most of the people, and I love this in the Tambram community. I love them. Irrespective whether it's taught in the schools, everybody will learn one instrument or some Bharatanatyam. Isn't it true? So how does it happen? The school doesn't teach. So what? That's a part of a DNA. So part class mein jana hai, violin sikhana hai. Who told you? But they give that the Parayan that we do, the Devi Stotram that we do, the Ramayana that we chant, Sundar Kand and all those things. So you have to understand one thing, even if the college is teaching or not teaching, it has to be a part of the family culture. And that's where spiritual organizations have a major role to play. I never learned Sanskrit in school, but I learned the whole Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishad because of Chinmaya Mission. So if you have an option of putting your child and yourself also included in a spiritual organization where they're teaching Sanskrit, why not? The second part of your question about British education system. I love this question, and I really love this question because, this is something that I've been already thinking and working on. And by the way, I do go to, Oxford and Cambridge and teach. And I have some of my friends who tells me this, okay? The first fundamental thing, our education system, the current education system is not an education system. It's an examination system. So everybody's so used to giving exams. That's why the coaching classes makes a lot of money, isn't it? People are not concerned ki kitna pada, kitna mark aaya. So understand, it's a very fundamental social issue that we have. It is called, there are social problems. So you can't say, the British has left it. In fact, I remember one of my colleagues in Mumbai University, she's the head of the history department, Dr. Manjari Kamath. So I was once asking her, she did a PhD from Oxford and Cambridge, sorry. So saying that, you know, we have a leftover of the British education system and also the British administrative system, you know, IAS, IPS. She laughed and said, yeah, the Britishers left it and we continued it. So understand why are you blaming the Britishers? Bechare chale gaye 75 years. In fact, many schools in Britain are actually introducing Sanskrit. Some of you must have seen the videos and all those things. In Germany, they are accepted Sanskrit. हम लोग अभी भी debate कर रहे हैं कि education system क्या करेगा, government क्या करेगा, तुम क्या कर रहे हो? And let me tell you, I've been very fortunate that, you know, the education system is changing and it is changing very slowly, but in the right direction. I have introduced Chanakya in the university, isn't it? And Satish Bhai has come there to give a lecture. So it's a formal course, not a coaching class, okay? From a University of Mumbai where students come from different parts of the world. So it's a saying, you know, instead of blaming the darkness, you light a candle. So start from your family. If you're interested in Sanskrit, you know, first you learn. And there are so many online options. You don't have to go to a school. And school mein वैसे भी teachers मिलेंगे नहीं. Let me tell you, even if the school introduces, you require commitment for a language like Sanskrit. And it can't be another scoring marks. Because, you know, you have to make a profession out of it. It's not easy. Oh, बेचारे पंडित को हम 100 रुपया देने के लिए हम 2 बार सोचते हैं यार. That guy who studied Sanskrit. How many of us grandparents were great pandits? कौन value किया उसको? We are saying about Sanskrit as a profession. You know, somewhere, you know, social, so don't blame others. Somewhere look within. I'm a guy who studied Sanskrit and made a complete career out of it. Arthashastra, एक 6,000 सूत्र संस्कृत में सीखा है. But you know, it pains me sometimes when I say Bechara Radha. What do you mean Bechara Radha? You know, this is the kind of some response I get. Bechara अच्छा काम कर रहा है. What do you mean by Bechara? I'm a professional. I'm a doctorate. I work with companies. I'm an independent director. I run a company. Bechara Sanskrit पढ़ के अर्थशास्त्र. This is the kind of an impression people have about me. Okay. So what I'm saying that respect that person with Sanskrit language. So what I'm saying that don't look at it as a part-time activity or another add-on subject. If he's a Sanskrit scholar, he can do well. Why not? And Sanskrit is interesting. Let me tell you this story about lost key. I don't know. This I learned when I was learning my Sanskrit. I'll take a minute. It's a very interesting story, and I'm a good storyteller also. So once in a village, it so happened that, you know, all the grandchildren came. You know, the parents are all migrated. So there was a grandfather and a grandmother. They used to wait every year for the grandchildren to come. And the Dadima had clearly instructed, a big land they had, farms they had, very rich grandfather. But बच्चे लोग सब migrate हो गए. साल में एक बार आते थे. So उसने अपने नौकर को बोला, दादी माँ ने, कि there's a big storeroom, okay? All my children will come, some 10, 12 cousins and everybody. Let's spend 1 month during vacation. So there is a chavi, lost key, okay? You give it and saying that जब भी बच्चे लोग, you know, घूम पार के आएंगे, and in the evening or whenever they are tired, when they are hungry, I will send them to you. So this old servant, you know, this they call him, you know, Kakaji. The Kakaji के पास चाबी होता था. And then Kakaji के पास बच्चे जाते थे और बोलते थे कि ये भैया मुझको ना लड्डू चाहिए. So you'll open that whole storeroom and refrigerator and everything and give it. So this was very clear from Dadima that whenever children are feeling hungry, you know, they will come to you. I will send them to you. Of course, I'll give them fresh food in the kitchen, but this is also big storeroom. So all the children used to go rush and saying, Kakaji, yeah, I want laddu. Chalo, kholo laddu. Tumko kya chahiye? Peda. So there's one small guy, you know, so observe, but never ask anything. So this Kakaji, old servant, saying that, beta, everybody comes and asks something, and every time I open the door, I give them. You never ask me anything. Chalo, tum bhi kuch maang lo, kabhi to maang lo. So the little child looked at him very carefully and saying that, you know, mujhe bhi maangna hai. Ab doge kya? Will you give? So of course, maang ke to dekho. I've been observing that you give everything to everybody. Will you give me surely? Well, of course I'll give. What do you want? Tell me. Wo chavi de do mujhe. See, understand? Because every time he's observing that I cannot go inside. The control is still in his hands. Okay? So if I want to take the full control and need the whole thing, whatever I want, whenever I want, the key, the lost key is in his hands. I'll tell you, the language of Sanskrit is this key. If you want to understand Indian culture, Indian wisdom, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Arthashastra, chavi kya hai? Sanskrit. Study and you don't require, you can decode it yourself. We don't require an interpreter. We don't require a commentary. It's the original source. And the good part is that it's all there. The language is there, the original texts are there. Only we don't want to take the hard work. And believe me, Sanskrit is a scientific language. It's a spiritual language. And let me tell you, if you really commit yourself, it can become a professional language also. Only English cannot be a professional language. English is also a professional language. It's globally accepted, nothing wrong in that. Sanskrit is a source of all wisdom that is locked inside. You have to lock it, unlock it. The lost key is in your hands. Unlock it. Thank you.
I must say that my younger daughter went to the Chinmaya International School, and she took Sanskrit from the 7th grade onwards. And one of the things she came back, of course, I have no idea of Sanskrit at all. She came back and told me that after Sanskrit is like mathematics. I said, wow, I don't understand how Sanskrit is like mathematics. But she was explaining to me how Sanskrit is like mathematics for her. And it was very, very interesting just hearing her in terms of, I didn't know that Sanskrit had origins in every other, disciplines of subjects as well. So that was very fascinating for me.
Just want to add, Sridhar sir, that Google uses Sanskrit, okay? Microsoft is using Sanskrit for a lot of programming. I want all of you, if possible, to invite and if possible meet. There is an IIT Bombay professor. His name is Dr. Malhar Kulkarni. Just remember the name. Dr. Malhar Kulkarni very much in Bombay, stays, I don't know, but IIT Bombay. He has got a presidential award and he works with a lot of projects, okay? And he uses Sanskrit as a programming language. And I'm talking about specific companies like Google and Microsoft. He's working on so many projects. And why did he get this presidential award? Because he's proven that how it is a flawless programming language with a logic. You said about scientific, it's a very logical language. One dot, dirgha, can change the whole meaning. You cannot, it's not knife, K-N-I-F-E. So why is K silent? No logic, right? But understand, one dirgha, one dot, one comma makes a complete difference. It's a very scientific language. Why am I telling you this? Acha, by the way, how many of you know that Google has got a Sanskrit translator? You can just try it, maybe after this or during this, just go to Google and type. There are 18 Indian languages where you can use Google for communications. Like English is the basic one, but local language, Hindi, Gujarati, Malayalam. Sanskrit is already decoded. Their biggest problem is that there is no using of so much. They have kept it very, very free and friendly. Sanskrit is a language already in Google. So if you want to really learn, say, how are you? Translate into Sanskrit. Google gives you right there, right now. All the coding has been done. I think it's not about availability of the language in the school or institution. It's the availability of yours to learn that language. So take your first step. Ek kadam aage lo, Sanskrit will come to you. And we call it Sanskrit Mata, the mother who will open out the whole knowledge of our ancient rishis and scriptures. Thank you.
The next question is that how do I get my kids to get into spirituality? Do I have to start first and let them follow on their own? That's the question.
Very good question. First of all, be a role model yourself. You get into spirituality. Children never listen to parents. Children watch parents. आप जो करते हैं वो करेंगे. I told you about my father. He never told me. He warns me. Okay. See, remember one thing. When I was a young boy, I used to watch him. He used to go to office. But even then, when he was active as a professional, as an engineer, 3 hours every day. आज भी हम लोग 3 घंटा नहीं कर सकते. Every day he used to sit and meditate. And today I am saying, oh, so what I'm saying, if you want to get your child into spirituality or Sanskrit or anything else, you have to do it yourself. You don't have a choice. Second thing, you're all lucky. Number one, all of you have this group. So Lost Key itself is a group where you can find friends and discuss with them. But I think a very practical step, please join some spiritual organization. They always have a children's wing. Like Chinmaya Mission has got this Bal Vihar. Then I think Satya Sai organization has got I think Bal Vikas Kendra, Sri Ravi Shankar. In fact, I think Baba Ramdev has started, yoga classes for kids. So I think one of the good thing is that the spiritual organizations also understand, catch them young. So, it's not only the marketing companies, ki unko aadat dal do. I've seen, so what I'm saying is that you don't have to go outside. You have to just take a decision that I will commit myself. I'll tell you how I got into Sanskrit. Very interesting, okay? This is very interesting. Even though Chinmaya Mission was there, I became very academically qualified in Sanskrit. And by the way, I'm doing my DLit in Sanskrit. What is DLit? It is one step ahead of PhD. But I'll tell you how I got interested. In Mulund, there is a Sanskrit scholar. His name is Dr. Prabhakar Bhatkande. Prabhakar Bhatkande. And you know what? He's a professional, he's an engineer, but unka sham ko, he used to write Sanskrit dramas. Okay, that's his profession. No, not his profession, it's a passion. Very great. So he stays in Mulund, and for anybody who knows Mulund, there is some Maharashtra Seva Sangh. So there is a beautiful hall, Apna Bazaar, a lot of weddings happen. It's a very known spot. So he's a member of that, and he runs Sanskrit classes over there. So all these guys, boys and girls, every Thursday, free mein wo sikhayenge, you know. So he takes some time to read literature and all those things. So Prabhakar Bhatkande, one day everybody said, you have to create awareness of Sanskrit. तो बोलता हाँ मैं तो बैठा ही हूँ सिखाने के लिए free में आप create करो. So they did one day program morning to evening of importance of Sanskrit. I was called by one of my friends, you are from Chinmaya Mission, come. There were 700 people. But you know what, I had this whole mindset, I already know from Chinmaya Mission, why should I go, blah, blah, blah. And Prabhakar Bhatkande, since I knew him also, he said, remember one day, I am just asking one day of your life. ऐसा क्यों बोल रहे हैं? मतलब एक बार तो आके देखो कि संस्कृत लैंग्वेज का कितना इंपॉर्टेंस है जो हमने समझा नहीं. अच्छा ठीक है एक ही दिन देना है. And he had a mathematical calculation. He was an engineer, saying that 365 days in a year में एक दिन नहीं दे सकते. I'm not even telling you come next year. Okay, just one. Even though you're already from Chinmaya Mission, come and see this one. Okay, then he made it more smaller. I'm not even asking you one day. Why? I'm only asking you 6 hours. How come? 24 hours नहीं बोल रहा हूँ मैं. आजा उधर खाना पीना भी रहेगा लोग भी रहेंगे. So suddenly it hit me saying that okay, he's asking me only for 6 to 7 hours a day. That's okay. And he also told me if you don't like it, you can leave in between. Very nice. I will not get converted. I went over there and he had called some of the best Sanskrit scholars from across the not country, Bombay and all that. And there were 800 people, all of them old, retired, appreciating Sanskrit, Hamari Sanskriti. And of course, we were a few, maybe 5-10% of young boys and some children. And their children, they made them do that skit and all that, Remember, he was a Sanskrit dramatist and all those things. I came back and I realized one thing. Look at the kind of language. This man, one man, is trying to popularize it. Of course, Chinmaya Mission, so many people. And then I realized, and then I went back to him and just touched his feet and said, sir, thank you so much. I mean, people like you are a professional, but trying to do something around Sanskrit. What can I do for you? You know what he told me? I just could not forget. Like, beta, yaad rakhna. Don't appreciate Sanskrit. Study Sanskrit. Okay? Because I studied in Chinmaya Mission. No, I want you to do an MA in Sanskrit. And remember, I was already married, settled, professionally done. I did my MA in Sanskrit. And now I'm doing my DLED. You require that one person to inspire you. Who that one person is depends on case-to-case basis. For me, it was Prabhakar Bhatkande. Even though I had a background of Sanskrit from Chinmaya Mission, okay? That one person pushed me, and today, like, okay, Swami Amatya Janapada Durga Kosha Danda Mitra iti Prakritaya Artha Shastra in Sanskrit Praja Sukhe Sukham Rajnya Prajanam Cha Hite Hitam. So I'm like, when I look at it, I don't require a translation. I can think in Sanskrit. Not only speak and write in Sanskrit. Thinking in Sanskrit gives you a lot of clarity because those words are so beautiful. Ucharan, of course, your words become better. So coming back, get into that spiritual organization, get into that one teacher who is committed to Sanskrit. Remember, don't go to a teacher of Sanskrit, go to a teacher who is committed to Sanskrit. It's a big difference, because for that one person, that Sanskrit will be his life or her life. Uske baad, no reverse gear, only forward. Thank you.
There are a lot of questions on Anvikshaka. They're saying that should it be taught from school. There was a question saying should it be taught in the MBA class. And there are some questions asking what are the principles of Anvikshaka.
Yeah.
Shaki. Sorry, my son is bad, so we have not studied Sanskrit.
No. I love this particular question, so let me answer it in two parts. It is already getting introduced in the education system, the national education policy. Anvikshiki has been already accepted in a few organizations. So let me tell you, and they're not small. Chinmaya Mission, CIRS में हम लोगों ने already ये सब से introduce कर दिया है. But what is the biggest news is that basically Kendriya Vidyalays, 1,300 schools, okay, have accepted to teach Anvikshiki as a formal subject, and I'm making the syllabus. So our generation which lost it, don't worry, our children will not lose it. Now coming back, what is Anvikshiki? It's a very technical thing. Okay, Sankhya, Yoga, Lokayata, Pradipa, Sarva Vidyanam. If the group is interested, we can organize a program for you separately so that you can understand it in technical details, because it's a very deep philosophy. It's like saying, teach me yoga or teach me physics now. And if physics, I can define it. Maybe I can tell you what is the definition of physics, but I can't teach you physics. in this time. So what I'm saying is that it's a big journey, but I would suggest that, if you have a group ready, and most of your professionals, if you have a group ready, I can teach you the Saptanga model of Chanakya. So if there is a group of 50 people ready, we can deliver the whole thing online. So we have 5 modules in which we can teach Anvikshiki and Saptanga. Okay, so let me tell you, if you are ready, 1.5 hours for one module. So basically it's like a 5-day course that we do. Maybe evening 7 to 8:30, or 7 to 8:30, or 7:30 to 9 o'clock. 5 days commitment, Saturday, Sunday evening, and 1.5 hours. I just require a group of 50 people. If you are interested, I will run the whole program for you. So at least at the end of it, you're very clear that what are the basics, and you don't have to get out of the house also. Webinar kar sakte hai. So I think, Sridhar sir, if somebody wants to know about Anvikshiki, specifically the Saptanga model, let's run it for our groups. I just require a group of 50 people because, a lot of exercises that we do, literature, review, a lot of things are there. And of course, it's a complete program and a course. We can run it for you separately. Thank you for that.
I know you're also running late for your next webinar, so I'm going to take the last question. I'm just going to combine a couple of questions.
Yes.
So I think there are some auditors in this group. Okay, specifically, I want to ask you on if you were to expand the compliance officer being an employee is made to take decisions and advise as per law, but find the solutions to support the business. How do you perceive the role of the compliance officer and company secretary? And and there is also, in some sense, questions basically saying that should Ardha Shastra be part of the MBA curriculum? So I'm just going to combine two or three and leave it to you.
Yeah. Please.
And then we will have a bonus time after that.
Yeah. So let me tell you about the Arthashastra curriculum in MBA. It's already being done. And the good news is that, the Mumbai University, we teach the Arthashastra. A lot of MBA institutions are introducing it. The thing is that it's a slow process. It's an organic growth. I don't want it like a rule coming in. I want the top approach. So I'll tell you how yoga happened. See, yoga was already being taught formally, informally in small gullies and, schools and colleges. And suddenly the Prime Minister goes and says, International Yoga Day. The day it was announced International Yoga Day doesn't mean the yoga started being taught. No, it was already there. So Baba Ramdev and maybe all the great gurus, they were already teaching yoga. So what is happening? It may look like Arthashastra is not part of the syllabus, but let me tell you internally, I travel across India. In fact, Arthashastra has become a part of a lot of curriculums. And I know at least of 20-25 universities where I teach Arthashastra and I've made teachers. But see what happens, when a water boils. I remember Dr. Ajit Ranade, Chief Economist of Aditya Birla Group. He was one who actually launched my book, Corporate Chanakya. And he said some very beautiful statement and it stayed with me. In the launch, he said, Indian wisdom or Chanakya's wisdom is not ancient, it is eternal. Okay? And eternal knowledge can never die. So he gave a very beautiful example. Imagine you're boiling water. Water boils at 100 degrees, isn't it? But you don't reach 100 degrees day one. So what happens when you're heating the water? Slowly it heats up and bubbles are coming. And then at the 100th point, you call it boiled water. So what I'm saying, I'm already made that vessel. The water is there. The heating has already happened. So don't think that Arthashastra is not there, but it is not still reach that 100 thing where it's compulsory that everybody has to learn. That will happen, But what I'm saying, I know at least 25 institutions, and all of you are listening can be brand ambassadors. If you have any MBA institution, let us know. We'll be happy to teach that. So the boiling has started. The small little bubbles are coming up 100 times. The 100th degree will reach soon. Now coming back to the question, can you help me repeat that about the compliance part of it? That was not clear to me.
Hemanti, do you want to actually ask your own question directly?
Yeah, that will be nice.
Yeah, Hari Om. So my question to you is that you explained about the compliance or the auditors, the role of the auditors very beautifully, that ultimately they are supposed to just be doing audit. I'm a compliance officer and I'm supposed to be advising on various laws and regulations and all of that. So there are situations where the law says something, it is not very cryptic clear. So, or rather it is cryptic, and to bring in more clarity or having a practical there are doubts sometimes. So what is the right approach for the organization at that point in time to advise?
I'm so glad you asked this question. Can I call you Hemanti, madam, right? Hemanti.
Yeah, Hemanti.
Okay, Hemanti. Hemanti, ma'am. Okay. Can I ask you, where do you work?
Hemati is
Aditya
also
Birla.
Okay.
I
She's
work
from
in
Aditya Birla and she's part of the Chinmay mission also.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. See, please understand that what is compliance, okay? So compliance is almost like, the requirements that we do for, the government and this and all those. And so
Yes.
so now let me catch your first word, advisor, okay? Please understand this, Chanakya knowledge, okay? And this has helped me a lot. Never give an advice till it's asked for,
Yeah.
okay?
Right.
Now I'll tell you the depth of it. See, luckily you are in a great organization. Okay, and so all of you, Satish Bhaiya, and I know so many friends in Aditya Birla. So the good part is that, there. I don't know the internal structure how it is. Compliance is almost like an SOP after a point of time, isn't it true? ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है, and then you whatever. But what I'm saying, advice comes out of experience and maturity. It is not a law by the book.
Right.
And advisor should also have insights. Isn't it true? So insight is not developed so easily. It is not information based, knowledge that you're giving. It is something you understood the whole system and saying, it's like, this is to be done. But the biggest pain for a lot of people, okay, biggest pain for a lot of people that what is right and wrong, but samne wala sunta nahi. Now you have to understand one thing. This is the biggest pain for parents also. See, they have the experience and knowledge. I mean, they're guiding the children. Beta, ye mat karna, wo mat karna. You're advising, but they're not ready to take the advice. So how has it helped me? Even though there are certain things which has to be corrected, if the person is not ready, what do you do? So you can do two things. Still continue advising. Maybe one day they will listen. Okay, you do talking. But the other thing is that, you wait and watch. What you say, they may not listen, but one day they will come to you, today or tomorrow, after a long period of a time. And then you said, wow, this is the person who will solve the problem. So, I speak a lot. I used to tell Chanakya, nobody used to listen. But now what I say, I only speak to those people or advise only those people who genuinely want an advice. I will give you a third formula and you'll feel very nice about it. Dr. Shubhada Joshi taught me this. You know what she told? Ved Vyas. Imagine the person who knows the whole Vedas and everything. He was going and advising people. Remember the whole Mahabharata, he was part of it. He advised Dhritarashtra. He advised Duryodhan. He advised everyone. Koi suna uska? Nahi. Imagine one of the living legend who is telling ye mat karna, wo mat karna, wo mat karna. He was very dukhi. And then he met one great advisor. Every advisor also requires an advisor. His name is Narad Muni. He was frustrated. It's like a world war happening. Imagine that. And nobody's listening to him. And you know what Narad Muni told him? What an advice is. He says, जब लोग सुनते नहीं हैं, okay, तो एक काम कर सकते हो, क्या? लिख डालो. When you write it down, first of all, you feel free. Writing is like a meditation and let go. And then what happens is that when you write it down, number one, you'll not forget it because it's a situation based, isn't it true?
Yes.
If you want to write after 20 years, you yourself will not remember. But the good part of writing down is that you can refer to it again. And even if you're not there, somebody else can refer to it again. So Ved Vyasa's advice was not taken by the generation seriously, but the whole Indian culture still refers to Mahabharata. Isn't it true? So one of the most beautiful thing is that you start documenting. Maybe you don't have to publish it. That's okay. But today when you come with an experience, but okay, what to do about it? So write it down. Maybe it can come out as a book form. And I like this whole concept of blogging also, small advices on LinkedIn and blog. You never know. Your advice is not taken seriously in your company or your organization or your group of people. But when you put it on the public platform, somebody from some other company may take a tip and take your advice seriously. So there are two types of students every teacher has. I'm talking about two good students. All type of students are there, good, bad, ugly. But two good type of students. So one is called the Arjuna category. And the second is called the Eklavya category. When Arjuna is directly trained by Dronacharya, isn't it? So you can see and feel. Aur sunta tha. That's why he's so good. Sablonli sunte like Arjuna was good. But suddenly you realize that your teaching is learned by somebody who's a third party whom I never met. Eklavya. Friends, so when you are in an organization, that's my question. Are you limited that my advice is within the organization? That's fine. But you know what? When you write it down, blog it with all the rules being taken care, You never know. You become an advisor to somebody outside, and you'll be surprised. Your advice sometimes outside is valued more than people from inside. Write it down. That's a very good solution. And I will call you for a lectures in Mumbai University also.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think, Radha, we'll all like to come to your lectures in Bombay University as well.
100%.
And I'm just going to have Naushad say last final few closing words, and then we can close this thing.
Maybe I can take up one more last question. That shouldn't be a problem. One last question before the closing statement.
Okay.
Satish Bhaiya, if you want, one more.
No, I'm okay. Let some others ask.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, is there any one particular sloka from your Chanakya which has made a huge impact for you in your life?
Yeah. So one is the shloka or the sutra, and one is my understanding about Chanakya. The sutra is Swami Amatya Janapada Durga Kosha Danda Mitra Iti Prakritiya. Okay. So how to run a kingdom, how to run a whole organization. Okay, that is one sutra. And I have converted that into a lot of modules that we teach. But very important, I've written a book. Dekhe ma'am, see the advantage of writing a book, if somebody asks you and you don't have time. So this sutra is very much expanded, and I have written this book with D. Sivanandan, who was the Director General of Maharashtra Police, called the Chanakya 7 Secrets of Leadership. I'm a leadership teacher. I teach leadership, and this is one sutra. Swami Amatya Janapada Durga Kosha Danda Mitra. You can read a lot in this. The second thing, which probably stayed with me, it's not a direct sutra, but it's the essence of Arthashastra. It says, never fight a battle alone. Take some friends along. Life can be lonely when you are fighting a lonely battle. But Chanakya says, Mitra. When friends are around, life becomes easy. Our biggest problem today with mental health problem, volo, anxiety, volo, because you don't speak enough. You don't talk enough. Even Amitabh Bachchan in Kaun Banega Crorepati gives you a lifeline, isn't it true? Phone a friend. I think it's very important. This I realized in the battles of life or in the battles of Rajaniti, finally the person who emerges a winner is not necessarily the most skilled person, but the person who has got better allies and friends on his side. Hence, I am not a very super successful guy, but I've got super successful friends like you. If you have friends on your side, you'll never be lonely. And we have spiritual friends on your side. You'll be the most happiest person ever in your life. Thank you.
Naushad, can you?
Yes. So I'd like to begin with telling Satish that he's being modest. His blog, A Day in the Life of a Chief Audit Executive, is an extremely good blog and very well written. And I would advise everybody in this group to please have a look at it. It's fantastic, Satish. My compliments to you. There are some people like me who always talk about themselves because I'm a sales and marketing person, but it's not good to be so modest that you don't talk about your work. So,
Sir, Thanksgiving Dr. Radha Pillai ka hai, sir.
But I'm just saying that don't be so modest.
Okay.
So Radhakrishna, you mentioned about lockdown. So I think in today's time, being in lockdown is better than being in a lockup.
Yes.
So the down and up also has its relevance. The down is better than up in the lockdown lockup situations. I think that's something I'd say we're better lockdown than being locked up. You also mentioned about, and I'm very happy that your work is not just in, as you just advised Hemanti, just to write and get over with, but also you are part of the execution. And what I'm impressed is, you being part of the new education policy. You also mentioned the Governor of Maharashtra requesting you to teach all. Incidentally, on 5th, I have a lunch with Governor Saab at his at Raj Bhavan. And I'm meeting him for the first time. So I was struggling for a topic of conversation. Now I have you as a topic of conversation. So that's going to be very nice, which is there. On a lighter note, I have very limited knowledge, and I'm an entrant into this Lost Key group and amongst these spiritual intellectuals. So my historical knowledge of people of wisdom is restricted to Chanakya, Tenali Ram, and Birbal. Though you're an expert on Chanakya, but somehow I don't know, seeing you speak today and your demeanor reminded me of Tenali Ram. I don't know why, but I think you are a man of Chanakya's wisdom, but Tenali Ram's demeanor, light-hearted and jovial also, apart from being wise. Your book, what impressed me, apart from having written 15 books, which itself is a amazing, I don't know whether I'm wrong, at least 15 I'm aware of. If there are 16, 17, 18, which I'm not, then please forgive me. But, what impresses me is that your book, Corporate Chanakya, holds a record, which I was not aware of, frankly. And for today's session, I did a little bit of Googling, and this is what it says for the benefit of others. Corporate Chanakya holds a record for being a book with the highest number of book of any author. Now, this is amazing, and I think this is a great fortune for us to have a person of your stature amongst us. And yes, there are a lot of lost sciences, I would say, that we are unfortunate that we were pioneers of, but today we don't have. Arthashastra is one of them. Sanskrit is another. Ayurveda is another one which is going out, which I can see, and possibly in years to come, that may be a lost science for us. And Ram Rajya, because today what we have is anything but Ram Rajya. Also because I think of the system, you kind of mentioned about it, but Chanakya's idea of governance, prerequisite feudal monarchy, did not factor for democratic federal system today, where it is literally impossible to put the entire learnings of Chanakya into this system. So it does require, and I think in the last couple of elections, what we've seen, the consolidation of power rather than the fragmented power. I think we'll be in a better position to, or on a path to implementing Chanakya's principles. With these words, I'd like to propose a hearty vote of thanks to Radhakrishna Pillai. It left us satiated. Satisfied, yes, but satiated, which goes well to say about your breadth of knowledge as well as your disposition. I think all of us are going back hungrier. So thank you so much, and I propose a loud applause for you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Just a small thing. I know people will ask for the email ID and phone number. It's already put on the chat box, so you can refer to that. And Satish sir, anytime you want me, I'll be always available. I'm always available at one phone call, and the whole organizing team, amazing. It's a very spiritual feeling for me as well to be part of this group.
Radhakrishna.
Yes.
This is Nivritinath Mandir Samadhi Darshan for you as a Thanksgiving from Lost Key Group. Hello.
Yeah. We are all